Some lovely music. Okay, here we go. As I was saying that, welcome to the university, where we all will earn a PhD in the system of racism, white supremacy, where there is no big I's or little U's, where everybody is important and everybody's a teacher and a professor. And we're all learning and we're all teaching. We teach because teaching benefits the teacher. But we're going to move ahead and we're going to get right into it. One of my sisters told me I talk too slow. That's Leotha. I don't know what she meant by that. But anyway, we're going to get right to it. First, we want to describe to you what is going on, because we see a lot of new people, and we appreciate you for showing up. So what we have here, we call this the university. And the reason why we put emphasis on a university, because it's not emphasis on one particular person. Because if I should leave the planet, someone should pick up the mantle and continue the studies at the university. And what we are studying here is the system of racism, white supremacy, what it is, and exactly how it works in depth. No surface. Well, white people don't like us, and they don't make the connection. We, as they, don't make the connection between one human experience or human area of activity to another one. So in this is lesson number 12. So here we're going to recite to you the definition, because most of us do not have the definition of racism, white supremacy, walking around with us. We can't tell you what it is and exactly how it works. And we've even more fine-tuned it since the last time we met. And our textbooks, this is not nothing that I came up with. This was first written about the system. Racism as a system was first written about by Mr. Neely Fuller in 1953 and expanded upon by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, the only psychiatrist in the history of the world, the only medical doctor in the history of the world to study this system for over 40 years. These two people that I just mentioned, Mr. Neely Fuller and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, they are our textbooks. Our third textbook is Imam W.D. Muhammad. These three people, I believe, are the foremost thinkers in the latter part of the 20th century, the first part of the 21st century. These three people that I have just mentioned. And most of us could not tell you or could not pick them out of a crowd. You're moving up, brother. Yes, sir. So we want to use them as textbooks. In other words, you're gonna hear me refer to them, and I advise you to study them. So we're going to tell you the definition, and then that definition is going to explain to you exactly what racism is. We're also going to give you steps towards freedom. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing called them exercises in Black mental health. Mr. Neely Fuller says counteractions to racism, countermeasures to racism. And Imam W.D. Muhammad says that they're just simply good common sense. So first of all, we're going to give you the definition. It's not from, it's similar to Mr. Neely Fuller's. Almost no deviation, but a slight word or two. Mr. Neely Fuller was the first to write the definition of racism, white supremacy. So we also took the courage and the responsibility to write our definition. Our being the brothers and sisters here at the university. So here is the definition. Racism, white supremacy is a worldwide system of domination. It has patterns of control in speech, thought, system formation, action, and emotional response. It operates in 10 areas of human activity: education, entertainment, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and health, for the ultimate goal of the survival of the genetic material of those people that are classified as white. That is the definition. That is a scientific definition. Now you go back and read the definition in Webster. It does not mount up to what the university offers. And read the definition of Mr. Neely Fuller. Webster definition does not mount up to what Mr. Neely Fuller put on paper in 1953, or Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. We are asking you to learn that definition that I just gave. And once you learn that, then we will be able to employ steps towards freedom. That's what we call it. Some people just say solutions. What are some of the solutions, Ali? Are steps towards freedom? Or they can be called exercises in Black mental health. That's Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. And you may say, why Ali always saying Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Mr. Neely Fuller, Imam W.D. Muhammad? Why you always got to say that every 10th word? Because I don't want you to forget about them. Because most of us have. We cannot pick these people out of a crowd if we had the opportunity. Mr. Neely Fuller is in his 90s. He doesn't move around anymore as much. And Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and Imam W.D. Muhammad has gone on from labor to reward. Hey, Michael Clark. Yes, I announced that. I will announce that, Michael. Remind me. He has gone on from labor to reward. That's Imam W.D. Muhammad and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. And we couldn't pick them out if we had the opportunity. So I say I'm going to constantly bring them up for their work. Their work is just as important as E equals MC squared by Albert Einstein. It's just as important, if not more important. So we encourage you to learn these 3 textbooks. Now, here are some of the steps towards freedom. Stop lying to each other. Stop fighting each other. Stop arguing with one another. Stop killing each other. Stop selling drugs. Stop using drugs. Stop throwing trash down where Black people live. Stop allowing our youngsters to believe that they can produce and maintain a family, because they cannot. Stop neglecting education. Stop saying that racism, white supremacy does not exist, because it does exist. Those are some stops. Those are some steps towards freedom. See, when we point out the system of racism, white supremacy, we are not just pointing it out to be pointing it out, because you know it's here. We're also saying this is our responsibility. For example, most of you on here belong to some religion or another, be it Christianity or Islam. Some of us are some people are Hebrew Israelites, so forth and so on. All the prophets are those, all the prophets, period. They had a responsibility. They didn't come into a certain level of knowledge of a wrongdoing just for the hell of it. They had a responsibility, and the people that was in the surrounding area had a responsibility to defeat that which was bothering their soul. And I'm telling you, racism, white supremacy is bothering us. It is causing us to be mentally ill. It is causing us to do strange things. And we have the responsibility to defeat this system. And that is how we're going to defeat it. By looking at our own self. Stop snitching on each other. Snitching means, under the system of racism, white supremacy, turning someone into authority for your own political or economic gain. That's snitching. In other words, turning Daryl Jackson, I say, well, Daryl Jackson, he's on the radio talking that black talk. I'm running him down. And the boss will say, well, okay, Ali, here's an extra 50 cents. Okay, thank you. Or Daryl Jackson out there doing such and such for the community, and I'm attacking him, but I'm willing to take his place. That's snitching. That's snitching. Stop snitching on each other. Stop making our youngsters think that they can maintain a family before they're 30, before the female is 30 and the male is 35. What? Somebody say, what? Because we cannot. We are in a state of war. Hey, we are in a state of war. But we the only one that don't know it. We think it's good time, Charlie time. Hey, let's party. And then people are planning our destruction. So that leads me to this. Now, those are some stops. What we have talked about so far, for those who those who people like Ivory Jr. And some more people, Osby Mitchell, and some more people on here, they have heard most of what I've said in the beginning, like the definition. They know the definition and some of the steps towards freedom. So those are the things that we have discussed so far. We gave the definition. We're going to give it again for those who just came on. Learn the definition. Carry the definition around in your head, because you need to know what the definition of racism, white supremacy is as a system. You need to know. Because if you don't, everything you think you know is only going to confuse you. And you'll think you be saying something right, and you just be just as wrong. Here's the definition. Racism, white supremacy is a worldwide system. It it has patterns of control in speech, thought, system formation, language, action, and emotional response. It operates in 10 areas of human activity: education, economics, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and health. For the ultimate goal of the survival of the genetic material of those people that classify themselves as white. That's the definition. That's the definition originally derived from Mr. Neely Fuller and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. And some of the names that I called earlier helped shape the definition that I just gave, and it comes from the university. That is the complete definition. And it tells you exactly what racism is and how it moves and works. I was called in on the radio show Paris, and Paris called a magazine KCOH 1230. Those are the letters on your dial, 1230. And Paris, he had a gentleman on there, and the gentleman was talking about language. Well, racism, white supremacy has patterns and control in language. See, we know that, but the masses of people don't know that. But those who tune in to the university knows that. So he said that the Democratic Party has a problem, in other words, with their delivery and the sculpture of their language. But the Republican Party does not. That's what he said. The Republican Party tells you exactly what they're thinking and what they mean. For example, about that rebel flag, the Republican Party was absolutely clear. And then when the Democrats tried to deliver a message with something such as Black Lives Matter, it was kind of a misunderstanding. Some people would say, "What you mean, Black Lives Matter?" This is an example of racism. White supremacy has control in language and emotions, emotional response. All lives matter. That's what they say. He said the Democratic Party is not that strong. They leave open-ending questions. And my statement was that it's not the fact that they're not strong, it's just racism, white supremacy has patterns of control in language. And they manipulate the language as they choose. So they'll say, well, what you mean Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, all lives matter? That's to confuse the people. And then they'll take Black entertainers, like I think his name Terry Crews or whatever. He played on a couple of those Friday movies. He's on a game show host also, I believe. He's really known for flexing his pectoral muscles. And he said he's Black too. For some reason, he let some strange white man fondle him about 3-4 years ago or a little more, and caused him to go in damn near nervous breakdown. But he still don't understand why Black Lives Matter. He said when he heard that, he believed that they were saying, how did he put it? He believed that they were saying that other lives don't matter, that Black lives are more important than other lives, even other Black lives. That's how twisted his mind has become, because he just doesn't understand. And some of us say, well, he's getting paid. Well, that's a part of it. That's a part of the system. See, the system pays major money to black entertainers to confuse black people. He ain't talking to white people. He talking to us to confuse us and make us think the opposite of that of reality. And when you think outside of reality, they have a word for that. It's called crazy. When you living outside of reality, if you are in jail and you choose to live outside of reality, I have seen this before. You believe those guards around there work for you and they will let you out anytime you want to get out. They really there guarding you against the enemy. And the warden or the sheriff is taking orders from you. There's people in the county jail just like that. Well, there's people out here just like that when it comes to racism, white supremacy. They say they don't see it. I don't see racism. I hear people say that all the time on Facebook. I don't see racism. I don't see it. And I don't want to talk about it. Anyone, and this may make some people mad, anyone, black or white, that refuse to talk about racism, white supremacy, do not like black people. I don't want to talk about that stuff. If you run into somebody like that, they do not like black people. I don't care how black they are or how white and liberal they are. If they refuse to talk about that system, that is the largest terroristic and the most deadliest system on a planet, and they refuse to talk about it, they don't like black people. And those who say it doesn't exist, because you see it on Facebook all the time. They'll say racism don't exist. Well, they're either trying to deceive you or they're lying. One of the two. They're trying to deceive you or they're lying. Because we know through study and through the good works of Mr. Neely Fuller that racism, white supremacy affect 10 areas of human activity. 10 areas of human activity. I think family is in there in some form without saying family. I'm gonna have to think about that and maybe we'll add family. And then it'll be 11. Family. Racism, white supremacy affects families, black families. 7 out of 10 homes, 70% of black homes are headed by black women. No black man in sight. And if he is in sight, he's only there for a couple of minutes, you understand? And he gone. 70%. And my position is that we don't even have family. No. We have survival units. What in the world is a survival unit? I coined that phrase, I think last year. A survival unit, this is an example of a survival unit. Or here's the definition. A survival unit are groups of people that are related to each other, that come together for their survival for a matter of minutes and or days. That's it. Survival unit. A survival unit of people that are related to each other, that come together for their survival for a matter of minutes and or days. Here is an example. Because this is what we have devolved to. A brother may have fallen on hard times, and he goes to his brother, his natural brother, his blood brother or sister, and tell them that his family and himself and his family falling on hard times, and the other brother say, well, yeah, you can come stay with us. And they go to stay with it until somebody eat the last piece of chicken. Who ate that last piece of chicken? Well, they said in a louder voice, who? I was saving it for my lunch. Johnny, you got to go. That's us. That's a survival unit. Or when you got family members, cousins, aunties, they act like they don't see the other cousin. Won't even talk to them. Be in the same building they in. Won't even say hello. That is us. See, when that happens, you erode the fabric of African American society. Now you're wide open for anything. The whole society. We're wide open for anything. Anything can happen because we don't have families. We merely have survival. That's what we are operating with. Survival units. And really, it's embarrassing. Really, it is. We should be embarrassed. We should be embarrassed to act in such a manner. And that takes us farther and farther off the goal. Off the goal of what? Defeating the system of racism, white supremacy. Because we have to defeat the system in order to replace the system with justice. Justice cannot come into play. I don't care how many times the policemen choke us in broad daylight, and our reaction is to have a protest, which is nothing wrong with that, and shout, no justice, no peace. Justice cannot come into play until the system of racism, white supremacy is destroyed. And that is from the works of Mr. Neely Fuller. Because the two entities are diametrically opposed to each other. They are diametrically opposed to each other. This is why we have to learn exactly what racism, white supremacy is in depth. Racism, white supremacy. Now, when you're writing, it's not racism and white supremacy. It's racism, white supremacy, because white supremacy is racism. Racism is white supremacy. That is the only racism. The only supremacy. And supremacy only means, hey, Brother Gamble, the supremacy only means one who has the ability to kill another one with absolute impunity. Absolutely. Now, somebody is saying, well, those policemen, they're on trial. Yeah, policemen been on trial before, but they're on trial. The only reason why they are on trial is because we have a camera and we actually see them choking someone, Brother George. But that doesn't mean they're going to get convicted. But hopefully they will. They will. All of them, and spend the rest of their life in a hell. Yeah. But the point is, racism, white supremacy, and supremacy only means one who has the ability to kill another one with absolute impunity. You can't dress up in no police uniform. I don't care how long you've been a policeman and ride through McGregor Park in Houston, Texas, which I'm not saying, dude, you should never do this, as a policeman and see a little white boy, 12 years old, playing with a BB gun, and within 2 seconds, blow his brains out. No black policeman can do that. No matter how tough they may act and they big and bad, and they can't do that because they can't kill people with impunity. That happened to little brother Tamir Rice. Now, who in the hell is Tamir Rice? Because I know we forgot. Here's the little brother shot to death in a park. I believe that was Milwaukee. You can Google it. Shot to death in a park, playing with a gun, a toy gun. The policeman said, well, he thought he was a grown man, and boy's 12. It's racism, white supremacy in that language too. But let me finish this, and we'll tell you how. He's 12 in a right to carry state. So if he was an adult, he's in a right to carry state. Why did you shoot him? Within 2 seconds of you arriving, the door was open and the car was still in motion. And he shot and killed him. He said he looked old. Well, black people under the system of racism, white supremacy, they really don't feel pain. We can take it, and we really old people are subhumans. That's how we are described. That even a 12-year-old, he's really a grown man because he's very dangerous. And we have nerve enough to talk about, I don't see race. I see people say it on the Facebook all day long. I don't see race. Well, they see you. The system sees you, and they see your children. But I know the reason why some of us say that. I know the reason why some of us say that. Because we have been driven out of our mind. We think if we appeal to white people, even on Facebook, we'll know that some of them monitor Facebook, or they on Facebook too, and we'll be their friends. And hopefully they'll see me post something like, I don't see race. I see one color. It's no such thing as the system of racism, white supremacy. We saying that so we can get a job. Bottom line, we are saying that so we could get a job. The same thing that some of our enslaved earlier parents, some of them, said. Boss, Maddie is planning an escape. All right, Jimmy, or Coon, or Bo. Hey, here's an extra piece of fatback for you. And you don't have to go out and work that back 40. Back 40? Work that back 120 acres. You don't have to go out this week or this day. See, that's why when you see that, know that's what you're seeing. When you see Black people lying to you, saying that they don't see race, they don't see color, they just see love, they trying to get a job. I don't care how old they are. And they probably already have a job. They just trying to get a better payday. And they're willing to say that. They are willing to say that because we have been driven out of our mind. But again, there is hope and help if we employ the countermeasures. See, it's more than just saying, hey, racism, white supremacy. Now the whole media is saying it. That's just to throw you off. Racism is systematic. We've been saying that, but they don't give you what it is in depth. They just throw it out there like that, and then they may mention police. Well, that's a byproduct of the whole system. See, I'm telling you, it has. That's why we start off with the program saying there's no big I's or little U's. I don't care if you are a trash man to a United States congressperson. 9 times out of 10, you don't know what racism is and exactly how it works. So you'll just be a part of the group. Congressperson. We have systematic racism, police brutality. What? They should keep on going. Police brutality. Not paid equally on jobs. Not getting promotion on jobs. Gentrification. You know what gentrification means? Under the system of racism, white supremacy. The forcible removal of Black people from the inner city. That's gentrification. And that happened all over this country at once. And I didn't hear not one Black mayor, including this one here, not one city councilman. And it just didn't happen yesterday. Not one city councilman, not one state representative or United States congressperson and our senator talking loud about gentrification. Just as loud as they talked about George Floyd, because it is the same results. The forcible removal. That policeman he's not really a policeman. That soldier of racism, white supremacy, forcibly removed George Floyd from the planet. Gentrification is forcibly removing Black people from the inner city. You can look at Washington, D.C., Harlem, 3rd Ward, Houston, 4th Ward, and we just walk around grinning. That's the mayor. We ain't saying nothing. That's a COVID virus. That's just as important as the COVID virus. Because, see, there are dog parks in 3rd Ward and 4th Ward. But Black people ain't got no park. They ain't got no house. Because the rent too high. The mortgage too high. And nobody's opening them. I heard one person say, African-American leader in Houston, Texas. He said gentrification, total group of people is. I got up and walked out when I heard it because I almost fainted. He said racism, white supremacy has nothing, excuse me, he said that gentrification has nothing to do with racism. Well, we just want a Starbucks. Everybody thought that was funny, except me. Everybody some preachers was there, some politicians was there, and some students. They thought that that was just the most funniest thing they ever heard. But it ain't funny no more because Black people had to leave Third Ward in droves every day because gentrification is terrorism. You don't know where you're going to live. And that is connected to your job because you ain't making enough money to sustain that. And their labor, it also can be translated as jobs, is one of the 10 areas of human activity that racism, white supremacy operates in. One of the 10. When we get our phone system, and we're working on that, we're going to have call in. One time I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, I only want those to call me on this particular day that is satisfied with their rate of promotion and their pay on their job in comparison to the counterpart, the white person. I ain't gonna get no calls. If you are satisfied with your rate of promotion and pay grade in comparison with your counterpart, the Caucasian man or woman, call us. They can't get no call. Paris can do that same thing on his show. Michael Harris, Ralph Cooper, any of them. They ain't gonna get no calls because we live in a system, and that system is called racism, white supremacy. And I know most of us don't know it. 99.9 of us don't know it. And we don't get it. But the white man get it though. He gets it on every level. So he'll do something like this. So it appears that I think they said white women help in a great deal in their massive voting. They knew Black people were going to vote for President Barack Obama. And the extra boost and help came from white women. Yeah, I guess white people in general, the so-called liberals. All of that was fine until they sat down and looked at TV and saw that Black man with his Black wife, his Black children, Black mother-in-law going into a White House. And all hell broke loose. So they had to scramble for the next 8 years out of their frustration. And what did that bring about? That brought about Donald Trump, an open supporter of racism, white supremacy. Now the whole country is in total free fall. Because, let me say this, and we're going to talk about genetics in the next lesson. remember, read every other week now and give you time to study. Genetics. It is predicted in the year 2040. This is why we don't take the position white people hate us. We don't have to say, we shouldn't even say that. Why they hate you? Because we black. Don't even say that. Yeah, they got a black cat now. They got a black dog. They got a black car. Don't even say that. Because hate is an emotion and it can come and go. No, they don't hate you. They are practicing this system. And you can see it. I use Donald Trump as an example. You can see it through him if you don't understand what I'm saying. Just look at the president of the United States. God gave us multiple gifts, multiple favors. But he gave us two in a row in terms of racism, white supremacy, and understanding the system. President Barack Obama, and way on the other extreme, President Donald Trump. Now, one is President Barack Obama and genetics. His mother was white. She's deceased. His daddy was black. He's deceased. They made it. We're talking about genetics. We're not talking about something I made up. We're talking about genetics. They made it. And they produced a son. And now look at the son. Where is his mother? Physically. He stayed with his grandparents. Where is his grandparents on his face? Physically. Where is that color? It has gone. Because the system knows that when you get a dominant and a recessive, this is genetics. And we're going to wrap it up. When you get a dominant and a recessive, and a dominant mates with the recessive, you're not going to get a recessive. You're going to get another dominant. That could hold true to any shade of black, be it so-called red man, yellow man, brown man, black man. All those are shades of black, shades of dominant. But the most dominant is the darkest one. But the yellow is dominant to the recessive. So if you get a Chinese mate with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Caucasian lady, you ain't gonna get a blonde-haired, blue eyes. You gonna get a dominant. You ain't gonna get a recessive. Rare, very rare occasion. Very rare. But we'll get deeper into that. That was just one example of the favor of God. Now here's the favor of God to the other extreme as we close and the big boss man come through the door. Donald Trump. Racism, white supremacy moves and stages. And the four main stages as Paris, Ely. That's why I asked you to listen to the show on KCOH 1230. Listen to all the shows. Paris Ely points out that I said that racism, white supremacy moves in four stages. This was some of the work of Mr. Neely Fuller. And he related that, since he's a music person, he related that to music. Four stages of music. And it is true. Here are the stages of racism, white supremacy. The four main stages. I contend that there's a fifth stage, but these are the four main stages. Establishment. That means to establish something. You know what it is. Racism, white supremacy was established in 1492. Maintenance, to perform repairs or maintenance on something. Refinement, make it seem like you don't even know that's a car or a phone. Like this phone I'm talking through on Facebook and on YouTube. I carry that thing in my pocket. That's not only a phone, that's a dictionary. That's a lady on the other end called Siri. That's a map. That's a music hi-fi player. Because the phone has been refined. They do that in the system of racism, white supremacy. The last one, no, that's the last one. The third one is expansion, to spread it. And racism, white supremacy is a worldwide system. Those are the four main stages. So when you hear people say, I know what racism is, and know that we don't need to talk about that. We know what racism is. You know, people say that over the radio and the internet, Facebook. They don't know. But here's the last stage, the fifth stage. But the system does not like being in this stage. That's the stage of brute force, the destruction of rules and regulations, the outright murder and vitriol of the system. That's Donald Trump. That's what he represents, the fifth stage. But the system doesn't like being in the fifth stage. It likes being in the stage, the fourth stage of refinement. That you don't even know that it is taking place. So as we say that, we appreciate all you brothers and sisters. Next week, we want y'all to, week after next, we want you to be studying genetics. Read up on it. And as we come into a close, the beautiful music is sounding. We want everybody, as Michael Clark mentioned to us, Al McEwing, a long-time tennis instructor at Homer Ford Tennis Center at McGregor Park, has gone from labor to reward, a member of the Elders Council of Wisdom at Shape Community Center, a graduate of Texas Southern. He was there when they raided Texas Southern and made the students come out in their underwear. May God have mercy on him and bless him with paradise forever. Amen. Keep up the good work, my dear brothers and sisters. Thank you.